out of here, you know what I mean? No, I'm just messing. I've known Cliff since we were 5 years old, which I did a little, what is that math? 30 years, so 35 to 35, same thing as 6 divided by 7, which is 85.7% of my life. I've known Cliff. Now, if you're at the wedding, I think the wedding was maybe like 81% or so. But I've just known Cliff forever, and so when Nicole asked me to kind of MC the event, which is why I was awkwardly standing over there. I'm not just trying to be creepy. I'm MCing this bad boy here. I feel good about that. I feel good to be able to honor Cliff. I thought that maybe for you guys, the best way to honor Cliff would just be kind of take you through our history a little bit. Excuse me. So I met Cliff in kindergarten, so when we were 5, and we had a good time in class and everything, but my parents didn't really know about Cliff until he came to my 6th birthday party, which actually, are you going to get up here and tell this story or no?
I guess I could.
Okay, I'll save the story, but there's a hilarious story that Cliff did at my 6th birthday party that my dad will tell you about a little bit later. But we met there, we just became friends. I started going to all of his birthday parties. I remember going over to Christine and Sam's house and get a Pizza Hut pizza for all of his birthday parties, stuffed crust. And we'd slam that and have a great time. As we grew up a little bit, Cliff started getting into girls earlier than me. I didn't really understand what he was doing, but he was super into them when we were young. And he just started crying about girls all the time. And one of my earlier memories is maybe like 4th grade, 5th grade. There was a girl in our class, Samantha Faluso. And he was just distraught that he could not date her. So we went into the basement, into like this little room, and Cliff's like, here's what I'm gonna do. Let's lay on the ground and stare at the lights. And if we stare at the lights long enough, tears will come into our eyes. And then it'll seem like we're crying. And at the same time, we're gonna listen to Savage Garden. And I know you guys remember, I wanna stand with you. That song. And we did that for at least 2.5 hours straight, and Cliff just had tears. He's like, I miss her so much. I'm like, we're 9, dude. Like, what do you mean, you know? Then shortly after that, there was another crisis involving Amy Norton, another girl. She was potentially going to go to Newhall Middle School, and we were going to go to Jackson Park. Cliff's like, what am I going to do? He's like, I love her. And I'm like, you're not even dating her, dude. Like, she's just a girl, dude. And so that's just how Cliff is, you know. Everyone here knows that Cliff is, he led with the heart first, maybe thought a little bit after that, but led with the heart first. And I wouldn't have it any other way, I'll tell you that for sure. Then as we grew up a little bit, the next phase we got into was high school. That is when Cliff really got really into how he looked. He was like, I gotta start buying these clothes, I gotta start getting the hair products. And I tell you that to tell you that, kind of weave in this little thing that Cliff is completely ingrained in my identity. I've been thinking about it a lot lately, and a lot of the ways that I am is because of the ways he was, and I had to be the opposite. So I don't really care how I look. I mean, it's surprising that I look like this right now. My beautiful wife Samantha picked this out for me. Also, my son J-Mo is matching me, but I never really cared how I looked because Cliff was always super into it. You know, he's like, oh no, I gotta look good, baby. And I'm like, okay, let's see what I do. Same deal. I'm not a lead with my heart type person. I'm like, let's think about this first, and then we can have some emotions later. And it just worked out good for me and Cliff. You know, that's why we were always how we were, best friends. Shortly after that, Cliff entered what I would call an emo phase, where you'll see in the video we show later, there's some pictures in there where his hair is like a little emo-ish, we'll call it, you know. He started getting into it. Well, since we were little kids, I tried to get him into classic rock because that's what I do. Like, I'm a classic rock guy. And he was like, no, you're stupid. Like, classic rock's not good. So he got back to me by going into the next generation of rock and roll, like kind of like the alternative phase, you know, like the Maine and other bands that I can't think of because I was never super into it. But during that time, you know, he was super into those bands, got a little emo, and I was like, all right, it's cool. You're my best friend, dude, I don't care, you know. And then he kind of got a little bit out of the emo phase, but still liked the music. And then our next phase, we'd go to the hookah lounge all the time when we were younger. We had some revolutionary moments at the hookah lounge. I don't know if a lot of people knew this in the room, but me and Cliff, for like a year straight, we kind of ran the hookah lounge a little bit. They did a karaoke night on Monday nights, and which is actually when I met Nicole, I'm pretty sure. We did a karaoke night, and we just went there, and Cliff's like, "This is pretty cool, dude. Is that think I might go up there and sing some Jason Mraz?" I'm like, all right, dude, that's what we want to do. And then the karaoke guy really loved us, so we kind of worked out this unspoken deal that we were going to get super freaking hammered before karaoke night, and then we'd go up there, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll just let you guys sing as much as you want, let you do whatever you want." And like a year later, we were packing the place. It's like they weren't paying ticket prices for us, but we were the entertainment, you know. So yeah, that was a good. I love that chapter of life. I mean, very irresponsible. We never drunk drove, Mom. I'm telling you, there's nothing crazy happening there. And but we good times, and it was just me and Cliff just having a good time. Then we got into the phase of life where Cliff started dating Nicole, and we kind of turned into like we'd all hang out together, we'd all go out together, just great nights. Unless Cliff got a little too crazy, right? You know what I'm talking about, Nicole. One time, Cliff would just be in a, can I say the D-I-C-K word? No, there's kids here, I won't say it. He was being a D-I-C-K, one of those things, you know? And like, you know, Nicole was like, "I don't even know who that is, who is that?" And she's crying, she's got tears coming out. And it was that's just who Cliff was, you know? If he got mad, you were gonna know about it, dude, you know? And then after that, we actually we partied for quite a bit there in like the mid-20s. Then we kind of transitioned out of that a little bit and just, you know, kind of hanging out, you know, just maturing together. We never matured, I'm lying. We didn't mature, dude. But, you know, kind of maturing a little bit, you know, just living our lives, just trying to become adults. You know, we didn't know what we were doing. Now, this next phase of life, I think it's super important because it doesn't sound glorious, but we all know Cliff was a hothead, right? Everyone knew that Cliff would get mad at you for no reason whatsoever, right? Everyone knows. We all know it. So Cliff, I was not immune from that. Cliff got mad at me. A couple times he was like super mad at me. He was like, "I don't want to be your friend no more," you know? And I'm like, okay, you know, like, I'll just kind of chill here. I'll just chill. I'll wait for you. I'll wait for you to figure it out, you know? And, you know, then after some time, Cliff's like, "Okay, yeah, you know, sorry, I didn't mean that." And so then I just never, at the end of his life, he was like, "You know, Kyle," he's like, "you never left me, and I really appreciate that. I love you for that." I was like, "I wasn't gonna leave you, dude. Like, we've been best friends since we were 5. Like, even now, I don't really, like, life is kind of weird. You know, I don't really know what to do, I guess, in some ways. But, yeah, I was like, I wasn't gonna leave him. And then the other time he got mad at me was around a Lions game. We were gonna go and this whole thing happened. I was like, "I don't want to be your friend no more, dude." We ended up going to a game the next year, and he was all mad about the Lions and stuff like that. But it's just how it is. Like, the reason I tell you guys those stories, I guess, is I'm kind of big into what would you call it? Self-introspection, maybe? You know, thinking about things. Cliff is, and I hope that you guys will see this as well in your lives, but Cliff was probably our greatest teacher in life, you know, because he was a character. I mean, sometimes you had to separate the character from the man, and that's okay. That's okay to do sometimes. But Cliff was our greatest teacher, I think. He taught you, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Patience, I guess. You know, he taught you patience, kind of let him do his emotions and work things out. He taught you what unconditional love was, and we hope to teach him what unconditional love was. And just great. He was just great. I mean, that's what I think, at least. He's one of my greatest teachers, and I'll never forget it. I mean, why would I, you know? So yeah, that's kind of our history. I feel like I gotta tell you guys some funny stories. This is supposed to be a good day. I'm sorry, I got a little dark there. That's not dark. That's just chill. But let me tell you guys some good stories. When we were kids, Sam, you know, I'm gonna tell the story. One of the funniest memories I'll ever have. Some of you know this, but a lot of you don't. But we were in 5th grade, and we were outside in the street playing football, throwing the football back around, and Cliff's dad came out, and he was like, "I threw the ball with you guys," you know, and so we're throwing the ball, having a good time. I threw the ball back to Sam, but Sam was not looking, and I hit him in the face with the ball. And Cliff, he didn't say a word, he just ran inside. And I was like, "What's he doing?" You know, and like Sam's like, it's like no big deal, dude. Like, you're 10 years old, it didn't hurt. Like, you know, it's like no big deal. Like, Cliff, I'm like, "Where's Cliff?" You know, like, what's he doing? And so me and Sam are talking in the driveway, having a good time. All of a sudden, so they had at that time the front window had you know those blinds where you can they're like the white the white things and they turn like that. So they had that, and I'm like, where's Cliff? And right as I'm thinking that, he rips open, and he's crying harder than you've ever seen any person cry, right? He's like you can tell he's really going at it. And I'm like, I think it's kind of funny because I don't really understand why he's crying so hard, you know? And so eventually he comes outside, you know, and he's like, Kyle. And I'm like, yeah, what's up? You know, he's like, that's my only dad. Like he thought I was like his dad was gonna pass away after that or something. I'm like, what? Like, and that's just the kind of guy Cliff was, you know. And I always love that about him. Like that's one of the things I really loved about Cliff is like I'm not like him, so I just never understood like what he was doing really at any time, and that was part of the fun, you know. Like, what's he doing? Why is he so mad? Why is he laughing so hard? You know. To anybody who might have saw a Facebook status I made after Cliff passed away, yeah, him and I would just laugh like weird, like a different level, you know what I mean? Just kind of come out of your body and just like float around the room and be laughing, and that was awesome. I'll never forget that for sure. There were other hilarious times. Cliff got a job at the same time as me. I used to work at JCPenney when I got a job because my mom worked there, so she kind of nepotismed me in there. And Cliff got a job at Yonkers at the same time, so we'd have like department store wars. Like, not really, but like in our heads, like, Yonkers is so much better than JCPenney. I'm like, who cares, dude? Like, we're just trying to make $7.25 an hour, dude. Like, what are we talking about? And but anyways, one time I went in there, and after that, Cliff was telling me about. He goes, "Yeah, this lady came in, and she paid me cash, and I was supposed to give her like 77 cents or something like that." He's like, "I don't know how to count that." I'm like, "Cliff, you got the job as a cashier, dude. Like, you're supposed to know how to count." He's like, "I didn't know." He's like, "So I just kept picking up change, and I just keep looking at her and trying to gauge like when was the right amount." He's like, "I think I gave her like $1.50 or something." I'm like, Cliff, dude, like, you can't be doing that. Around that same time, Cliff was convinced that, and maybe you guys can tell me about this, but I don't think it's true. But Cliff was convinced that you could like put a credit card into an ATM and it would just give you money. I don't know if that's true, but I don't think it's true because he was like, "No, watch this," and we'd like go to the ATM right outside of Yonkers, and he kept putting his card in, and nothing would happen. I'm like, "Cliff, it's a credit card, dude. I don't think you can." He's like, "No, I did this before, dude." And I'm like, I don't think you can do it, dude. And but we, you know, he was just that kind of guy, you know, just really believed what he believed and didn't believe what he didn't believe, and that's okay. Which also leads me to one of my last points here, which is one of the things I always love about Cliff. He just believed me a lot, you know what I mean? Like, he just didn't really, I could just tell him whatever. He's like, "Oh yeah, okay." Like, you know, Kyle said, you know, like, which I love, which is, you know, maybe that's my ego, I don't really know, but like, he was just my best friend and would just listen to what I said, and it was just always nice. And, you know, we had great times, a lot of good times, like, of Cliff just being a character. I don't know if you guys remember the whole Larry Nassar situation, but he was like running through hotel hallways just saying crazy stuff. And Cliff, he just wanted a reaction. That's all he wanted. He was just a reaction type guy, and that was the character, and you had to love it. Okay, I feel like I'm rambling, so maybe I should pass that. Nicole's like, "Yeah, dude, like, come on, dude." So up next here on the agenda, as you can see, we're gonna pass it over to Greg LaHaye, which is my father-in-law. He's gonna do a